The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, or Spaced Out Radio Limited is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Scout 6316, 8.8 for 6,000.
Got 6316, North Yelp Road, still maintain 3,000, I'm 1 for the right.
3,000, Scout 6316.
Redwood 811, still maintain 4,000, airport's open the clock, 1.
Take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again. Take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again.
Be careful, runway heading, runway 5. Let's take off.
Check! Hey!
And we're ready for takeoff. Sit back, relax. It's time to travel with Cosmic Passort. Spaced Out Weekend presents Elizabeth Anglin's Cosmic Passort, a 1-hour warm-up of news, stories, thoughts, and ideas to captivate your mind. You can follow us at spacedoutradio.com.
Now 20 years have passed us by, and we look back and count the time. Burning like the summer sun, when the world was young. As I lay staring from the ground, and 7 trumpets wait to sound.
And now, here's Our Lady of Flight, Cosmic Passort with Elizabeth Anglin.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Weekend on spacedoutradio.com. This is Elizabeth Anglin, your host of Cosmic Passort, coming to you from Uncle Jimbo's cabin, tonight floating in the relative northern heavens of the far left coast of North America, anchored with love in the desert southwest of New Mexico. We are so happy to welcome our new member stations, who I was just told the name of and I can't remember, Top Stream Live and Something FM. James, you want to help me with that in a second so I can call them out? And then I also want to give thanks to our regular listeners tuning in through Renegade Talk Radio in Las Vegas, UPRN 107.7 in New Orleans, Wolf Spirit Radio, the High Plains Radio Network, Forest Moon Paranormal, and listeners coming to us from TuneIn and iTunes. Thank you so much for being here. We love it that you listen to us. I hope that you will join us on chat, especially if this is your first night tuning in live. You can find a chat room at spacedoutradio.com. Or if you love our show, you've been listening for a while, and you want to help us keep going, for a fee of just $5 per month, less than a large latte at the coffee shop, you can join into the SOR Space Travelers chat room on Facebook and receive cool stuff like free books, swag, private interviews, a newsletter, and archives of all the spacedoutradio.com shows and more. Tonight, our very special guest is Alex Matsuo, and she is going to be talking to us about her book, The 10th Avenue Hauntings at the 10th Avenue Theater. I'm so looking forward to this. Hold on one second. Alex, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm well. I am just so impressed by everything that you've been doing. You have your own paranormal research team, the Association of Paranormal Study. That's amazing. How did you do that? How long have you been doing that?
Oh, goodness. Let's see. I started APS back in September 2011 in San Diego, California. I realize there's a San Diego, Texas, so I have to be very specific. And let's see, I had the team there for about 2 years, and then I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, and then I decided, I'll start, APS out here in Raleigh, too. So there's an APS in San Diego still. They keep going and are still going strong. And I have a team in Raleigh, North Carolina, so I guess you could say we're bi-coastal.
Well, you're an association, so, and you're studying, so you can be all sorts of places. It's sort of like Uncle Jimbo's cabin. It's in Canada, it's in the U.S., it's wherever it wants to be. It's great that you're doing that. Now, you also wrote another book called More Than Ghosts, or you helped with that. Bill Wilkins, who has done a lot of paranormal research, seems to be the main writer on that. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I wrote More Than Ghosts, and Bill actually wrote the foreword for me. He was really kind enough to contribute to that, and it's also a lesson in, hey, you can always ask. The worst thing they can say is no, but sometimes they say yes. Okay. Yeah, so I wrote that book because, and this was especially prevalent after moving to Raleigh. I don't know if I just got lucky during the 2 years, we were working in San Diego or what was going on, but I was dealing with a lot of cases in Raleigh where we weren't the first team to work on that case. And usually that can go one or two ways, either there's something going on with the client or something went on with the team. But in this case, there was a lot going on with the team that was there before us. So I found that we were cleaning up a lot of messes, having to debunking a lot where the client was told it was a ghost. So I'm still doing that. I mean, I can squawk all day and all year about that, but I was wondering, I'm like, is there a resource out there for people who want to get into this, but do they really know what all goes into a residential case? So I decided to write the book. It's been doing pretty well, actually. It's still doing well. I'm actually quite surprised that there's still an audience for, this topic. So it's been well received. It's been well received so far. I kind of, when I hit it's a self-published book, so when I hit the publish button, it was like hit publish and then go under the covers and wait for the backlash. But it's been well received so far.
Good. That's great. Well, I think there's a lot of need for it. I think people may think that there's nobody out there. We tend to, in the paranormal world, feel isolated because the regular person at the coffee shop or at work or at school is not necessarily going to want to go out ghost hunting or alien hunting or Bigfoot hunting. Mm-hmm. And the book More Than Ghost is a great reference. I've read part of it. And this comes out of your experience because you started basically paranormal hunting at a very young age, and you got yourself into some trouble. Isn't that right?
I did. By the way, here's the disclaimer. Everything I'm about to say, I do not recommend that you go and do. Right. And I am not responsible if you go out and do this thing I'm going to talk about. So I had experiences when I was younger, and I really wanted to learn more, but my My mom wasn't very excited about it. I wasn't even allowed to read Goosebumps when I was a kid. I couldn't watch Are You Afraid of the Dark? Anything involving the supernatural, paranormal, anything weird, it was no. So, but once I got my license and I started driving, my mom, God rest her soul, she knows the secrets now, but, I used to get in my car after she fell asleep, and I would go to the local cemeteries and just kind of walk around and check things out, see if I can catch some ghosts. Not a good idea. One, because I was underage and I was out after curfew. There was an enforced curfew in the city, and two, I went out by myself, so no one knew where I was. So that wasn't good. I mean, it's God forbid if something happened to me, no one would have known where I'd gone. So, I had a few things follow me home, and I was doing a lot of research on my own, and I was going to the library, reading, any books I could find. Books that were available at the time were mainly written by the Warrens or, Amityville Horror, so there wasn't as much information out there as there is now. So, when I was 18, still in high school, I was a senior, it was a spring, I had something hold me down into my bed, and before anyone says, oh, that was old hag syndrome, it wasn't. I was awake. I was awake. So, completely awake, and I had my eyes closed because I was getting ready to go to bed. You lay down, you kind of close your eyes for a minute, you try to get into your zone. But I felt something was pushing me into the bed, and, I opened my eyes because I'm like, what the hell's going on? I hope I can say hell on this station. Oops.
Yeah, no swear.
Beep.
There's no F words.
Okay, well, that's good. Take a lesson from The Good Place and just say fork. Anyway, so I opened my eyes, and there was this black woman above me, and I'm not talking about African American. I'm talking about this woman was pitch black. Like, her face was black, eyes were black, hair. Couldn't really see much of her hair because it looked like she was dressed like a nun, but everything was black. And she, turned half of her mouth up, in a grin, and then she put her hand over my mouth. So, needless to say, that scared the poop out of me. It lasted, I would, if I had to guess, probably a minute. And then I, prayed in my head. I actually prayed to my grandma. I was like, help. So, it stopped, and pretty much for the next 3 months, I ended up sleeping in my mom's room. And we're talking 18-year-old Alex sleeping, with her mom. So, I was that freaked out. And I could see my room from my mom's bed, and I would see, a shadow playing about at the end of the hall. I didn't want to go in there. So my mom didn't really believe me because she was trying to get me, to go back into the room. And I was like, I can't. And she didn't believe me until my cat walked by the doorway to my bedroom and looked inside, hissed, and then ran away. And my cat she didn't do that. So we ended up calling in my church, but then through a series of connections and getting passed on to the next person who didn't really want to deal with things. We ended up working with the Greek Orthodox Church, and they sent someone over, little old lady, which is custom to the practice, and she did her thing with the prayers and everything, and the olive oil, and they ended up giving me a spray bottle full of holy water. So, we're talking the tall plastic, red-handled spray bottle. So, pretty much what we were told was it's not gone, but it's dormant for now. And so, eventually I was able to sleep in my room again, but I never slept with the lights off. I always had something on, whether it was a TV, my bedside lamp, and I couldn't do with a night light. It didn't provide enough light for me, so And usually, unless I have like someone in the room with me sleeping, or I'm looking at my cats to kind of gauge things, I really don't. I don't sleep in darkness if I'm by myself. So it kind of shook me that much.
Did you ever find out who this was, or what type of entity this was, or anything like that, or was it just let's get this out of here?
And actually, this experience was why I started the team. We never looked into it. It was pretty much like, whatever this thing is, it's evil. We need to get it out. And a lot of things have happened in that house. I mean, even, oh gosh, it had to have been maybe 10 years before we moved into that, because it was my grandparents' house first. And the second floor was an addition, and that's where my room was. But before it was my room, it was the guest room. And I remember laying in the guest bed, looking up at the ceiling, and something hitting me on the forehead. There was nothing above me at the time. I was like 8 years old. I mean, and it didn't scare me though. It was more of like, what the frick was that? So literally it was like, what? But it didn't freak me out. I mean, I had other experiences in Kentucky, where in my great-grandmother's house that dates back to like early 1900s. But it wasn't scary, but it wasn't until, we lived there, and, my grandmother eventually passed away. And then I think that was really when like the activity started to escalate, was after she passed on. And I don't know if like maybe my grandma had done something to protect the house before then, or what, but and I've had a few psychics go into that house, and we don't own it anymore, but before we left, I had a few psychics go in there and check it out, and basically said, there's a lot of transients coming through here. So yeah, so I was like, okay, well that's interesting. But
portal house, yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay. Oh, and yeah, exactly. And what was interesting was I've been keeping track of the real estate history of that house since I left, and it's gone through like 3 owners. And keep in mind, I moved 4 years ago. So, and the house was sold 4 years ago. So I'm like, is there something going on there? Like, I really want to. Well, one, I want to buy that house someday because it's my childhood home, but I want to do an investigation in there. I want to figure out what was going on, like who's here, what's here, and who, what, when, and why. And we pretty much knew the history of the house. I mean, my grandparents were the second owners, so it wasn't, it wasn't like it was an old house. It was built in the 50s. So I don't know, but But my poor mother said, I must have opened something up there, and I'm like, I don't think so, but maybe. I don't know. But that's why I always encourage people, if you're going to go out there, just be careful. Do some grounding, shielding, prayers. Do what you need to do to get yourself grounded and solid, and going in there and taking initiative to say, hey, great conversation, but you can't follow me home. And that's something I did not say when I was in high school. So I would basically do my thing, and then I would leave, and, I'm not surprised that something probably followed me home. So, that was a really long story, but hopefully
it's important. It's how you started. You had a lot of interesting things happen when you were a kid, but you were also an actress or actor, and you were in a lot of different theaters. Mm-hmm. Tell us about the 10th Avenue Theater. What's so different about that? There were theaters that were more or less haunted, but the 10th Avenue Theater, it was in an old church or beside a church, and what was different? Why was that so telling to you?
Well, my relationship with the 10th Avenue Theater started when I was an actor in the space, and I also rented out the theater to, do readings of, my plays. And the theater used to be a chapel. It sat right next door to the First Baptist Church of San Diego when they were in their downtown location. And pretty much that chapel was built from a very generous grant from one of the patrons of the church, and basically that money was to be used to build a 24-hour chapel for the sailors and, you know, any military members that came through San Diego. Anyone who's familiar with San Diego, you know that it's a big military town, so there's always people coming into port. So that was the purpose of the chapel, but it was also used for the church's youth groups, you know, Boy Scouts, Elks Club, you know, community meetings abound. So, but eventually the church did move, which ironically they moved like a mile away from where I went to high school, which is a little interesting. And this was way before the theater was even founded. And a awesome guy, his name is Jeff Coda. He bought the chapel, and pretty much part of the agreement, you know, with the building was, you know, hey, can you hold on to the church organ for a little bit until we can get someone to move it out? And when that day finally came, when the church came to grab their organ, Jeff was told all of these ghost stories, basically saying, hey, you know the building's haunted, right? And what was really funny was Jeff bought the building at a really great price. And we're talking San Diego, so I mean, he bought it in, I want to say early 2000s. Actually, maybe even 1999. I'll have to check my notes on that. But I always joke that every ghost story starts at, I bought this building or I bought this house at a really great price. I mean, if you think about it, we got it at a really great price, and now we have ghosts. So, you know, and Jeff basically built that, or not built, but he renovated the space so that it could be a theater for the community, and it was the rent was really great, so which is why I used it a lot for my own projects. But it's a wonderful space. It's got like 4 different floors, well 5 if you include the basement. There's a theater on the ground floor, that's the main stage, and then on the 4th floor there's another like performance space as well. So I mean it's an actor's paradise, but it's also a paranormal investigator's paradise too. You know, Jeff heard these stories, and Jeff is more of a skeptic, and he still is skeptical on a healthy level, but he's also heard a lot of stories. There's office spaces that he rents out in the theater as well, and he heard some really interesting stories from early renters of, you know, those office spaces, and you know, a little girl running down the hall or hearing footsteps, things getting moved. And then once the theater started getting used as a theater, when, you know, the renovations were done, he was starting to hear stories from crew members. And, you know, when you're working on a show and you're getting ready to open, it's not uncommon to be in a theater until like 2 or 3 in the morning, you know, to finish up your lights, your sets. I mean, it's not an unheard of thing. Happens quite often. And Jeff was hearing, you know, stories from crew members, you know, feeling like somebody's, you know, watching them, or, you know, once again, things getting moved, or they're seeing things out of the corner of their eye. And when I finally decided to start APS and whatnot, literally I had a staged reading of my play like 4 months later. And, you know, I was sitting on, well, actually, there's 2 things that happened on the night of that staged reading. My light person ended up backing out last minute, so the person who's going to operate the light board. So I basically told my actors, I said, listen, don't start the play yet until I turn the audience lights down, what we call them house lights. And they said, yeah, of course. And so after I did my little curtain speech, I ran out run up the stairs and unlock the door and get into the, you know, into where the light board was. So, I mean, it was a process, and it would take like a good minute or 2. By the time I got up there, the house lights were already down. And I was like, okay. And that door was locked. I was the only one who had the key. So I'm like, okay, all right. So I watched a little bit from the booth, and then I locked the door. I went back down and started watching, you know, from the side. And I was leaning against the wall, which was covered by a curtain. and I felt fingertips, on my arm while I was watching, which startled me. I didn't make any noise because, there was a play going on. So I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. And after the show, I actually asked my cast, I said, hey, so I said, hey, when did the lights actually go down? And they said, oh, almost immediately. We thought your light person showed up. I'm like, oh, so, yeah.
So in the book, The Haunting of the 10th Avenue Theater, unfortunately, because my kitty is trying to pass away this week, I didn't have a chance to read all of it. But something happened in that theater, something significant. And does that have anything to do with the lights? Which ghost was that, basically? Did you find out?
Well, there is a British lieutenant that haunts the main stage area, and a lot of people seem to see him up in the booth. Because I guess that would make sense for him to be standing up there and overseeing things, so to speak. So let's see. There's been quite a few things that have happened in that building, and unfortunately, that building has seen 2 deaths. One of them was the death of Missy. A lot of investigators who have been to the theaters tend to classify Missy as a child. I don't think she was a child. I'm think preteen, like 12, 13. I mean, a 7, 8-year-old child is very different from an 11, 12-year-old. I mean, that's a huge difference. And then they wonder why she doesn't respond if, you do a lot of toys. I mean, for anyone who does go to the 10th Avenue Theater and you want to talk to Missy, bring candy. Little tidbit. So, Missy, when she was alive, this was the 60s. This was when the building was used as a youth group meeting space. The top floor, the roof, was a basketball court. And so Missy wanted to go inside. It was October. It was hot. Yes, it is hot in San Diego in October. So she wanted to go inside, and the youth pastor said, no, you can't. She just went ahead and ran on inside. She was running down the stairs, and the youth pastor was chasing her, and she was saying, catch me if you can, catch me if you can, because she thought it was a game. But then she lost her footing around, I would have to say, the 3rd floor landing. She was like, catch me if you can, catch me. And she lost her footing, and she basically slammed her head into the concrete landing, and she did not survive.
Oh.
Fast forward a few weeks, a few weeks. It was the Monday after JFK's assassination, and the church secretary was going into the chapel for, her to go work, and she went into the chapel area, which is now the main stage, and she saw the youth pastor hanging from the choir rafters. So the theory behind that was he felt so guilty about Missy's death that he took his own life. So that's so there's those are 3 of the ghosts that are there. And
what about the British lieutenant? Did he die there, or did he just have a good association with the place, or
The British lieutenant is an interesting story, and it's one that I'm not 100% convinced or believe in. But it was during World War II, and there was a I want to say he was a Navy medic. He was stationed in Japan. He basically was a doctor for the military, and he was working on this British lieutenant, and basically the doctor had his hand over the lieutenant's heart when he died. So when the medic came into port in San Diego, he went to the chapel to pray for the souls that he couldn't save, and according to the church staff, he started to have like an episode like a seizure, and pretty much passed out. He woke up, he was fine, and then he left. But then after the medic left, people started to hear a man, barking orders in a British accent, and that's pretty much where that story is. So pretty much the idea behind the British lieutenant is he attached himself to the medic, and then once he was in a space that was comfortable, he basically he detached himself from the medic, and you know, there's that history. So the lieutenant doesn't have a direct connection to the chapel or to the theater, but he's stuck around. So, and I've had a few psychics go through there, and they do pick up on a man in a like lieutenant's uniform, but they always say there's something not right because he has an accent. And I'll say, what does the accent sound like? And they'll say, like, well, they'll say Australian, they'll say Cockney, or they'll say British. So,
Right.
And then they'll have, like, visions of, you know, like an aircraft carrier of a ship. And I'm like, okay. And this was before, like, this was out to the public. So I'm like, all right, there might be some credibility to this, but, you know, I don't have... do we have, like, the hardcore evidence to prove this? No. Do we have a name? I've heard a few different names. None of them are connected or similar to each other. It's basically like getting John and then Peter. So, yeah. I mean, if it was something like Bob or Tom or Paul or, you know, something with a similar sound, I would be like, okay, you know, maybe we're getting warm here, but... It's an interesting story, and there's been some interesting experiences from people there. So I mean, but the lieutenant is overall very benevolent. He creeps some people out, you know, with his looming presence, just kind of watching. And I've had a few people kind of, you know, when they're doing a show, they'll look up in the booth and they'll see like somebody standing up there when there's supposed to be somebody sitting down. It can be a little jarring sometimes. But it's interesting. And I have to note that the chapel, was connected to a Southern Baptist church. So I'll say the 10th Avenue Theater doesn't do the most PG show sometimes. So I've heard some stories from people who've done more risque shows, and there's been some activity there whenever they say like cuss words or name off STDs, and you know the lights flicker, and I don't know, it's kind of funny. So
so you have the 10th Avenue Theater. What's your favorite haunted theater?
Ooh, goodness, I would have to say goodness. Oh gosh, you've asked me a good question. There's many. I've actually been doing a lot of research into the New York City theaters, where Broadway, Broadway and whatnot. And it's just because I'm very fascinated with that whole history. So it would have to be...
Okay, your top three, to make it easier. They don't have to be in order.
There you go, top three.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say it would have to be the Palace Theater is in my top one. And apparently Judy Garland haunts that theater. So if you didn't get a chance to meet Judy Garland while she was alive, go to the Palace Theater. That theater started off as a vaudeville house in 1913, and then it became like the spot for touring, artists. So Judy Garland was there, Ethel Merman performed there, Will Rogers, Harry Houdini. So there's also a tightrope walker that haunts the theater. And apparently if you see the tightrope walker, that means you're going to die soon. So if you see the tightrope walker, if you see the tightrope walker, go to the hospital and get into a padded room. There's also a child in the mezzanine that says peekaboo. There's a musician dressed in white in the orchestra pit. And then apparently, late night security has also seen a figure that passes through the doorways at night. So that one's fun. And then number 2 would have to be the Richard Rogers Theater. And for those of you who are big Hamilton fans, that is where Hamilton is playing. And yes, the Hamilton cast has experienced some hauntings there. That theater was built in 1925, and it was originally called the Shannon's 46th Street Theater. It was eventually named the Richard Rogers Theater in 1990 in honor of Richard Rogers. And let's see, paranormal happenings that have occurred in the dressing room. There's lipstick smudges on the mirrors in the women's dressing room. Bathroom doors open by themselves. A redheaded woman has been seen there, and I swear it's not me stalking the cast of Hamilton. There's been a howling sound after hours. The chandeliers have been seen shaking. sights of a child off stage, and I actually heard this from a Hamilton cast member, and there's no children in Hamilton. So things falling off the shelves. Let's see. Number three. I would say maybe the New Amsterdam Theater. That's another New York one. Okay. Yeah, that one's haunted by a former Ziegfeld Follies dancer named Olive Thomas. She actually became a film actress, a silent film actress. She married Jack Pickford, who was the brother of Mary Pickford. Jack then contracted syphilis and then gave it to Olive, and that gave her a lot of health issues. She overdosed on the medicine for it, which was mercury bichloride. Hopefully your chemist listeners can maybe confirm that. So basically, mercury was a form of medicine back in, early 1900s. And it's lethal in large doses. So Mary was buried in the Bronx, but after her death, people started to see Mary in the theater, in the New Amsterdam Theater, which it was impossible because she was dead. So I guess the hauntings that are happening today, cold spots, colored mists, a disfigured face in the mirrors and windows. That's one where I would probably soil myself. Like if I actually did get an opportunity to see it, it'd be cool. But yeah, that's scary. Knocking, lights flickering. So Disney theatrical productions currently, they don't own the theater per se, but they're renting it out for. What's playing at the New Amsterdam right now? I'll have to check that really quick. But basically, how Disney was able to get that, get the hauntings calmed down is they put a picture of Olive. They put a picture of Olive in the entranceway, and basically, all the workers will greet her when they come into the theater, and apparently that has decreased the activity. And I believe Aladdin is playing there right now. So when you take the kids and you see a picture of Olive, in the entranceway, make sure you say hi to her, so the show goes off without a hitch. So, yeah.
Isn't that cool? I mean, because actors are... It's like baseball players. You want to do the thing that, you say break a leg instead of, have a good show. So actors already have all of this stuff that they do, like baseball players before a show, some more than others. Like when I'm putting my makeup on, I have to do my me mama moves. Or if I don't do it in this order, I'm all going to be discombobulated, and I'll get on stage and I'll go, blah, 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 So, it's so interesting that they make everybody say hi to Olive, because that's so theater. That's so actor. It's like, how do you make it work? You say hi to Olive, and everything will be fine.
Exactly. So, and it's just so funny that's how they were able to get it to stop. And there's actually another theater in New York where, oh goodness, I'm trying to remember the man's name, but he basically owned the theater. And then he didn't want to leave. Oh, yes, the Belasco. Okay. Look at him, Ponto Theater notes. So, built in 1906, it was owned by a guy named David Belasco, and he was known as the Bishop of Broadway. So, he loved theater so much, he spent all of his time there, and he even converted the attic into a penthouse. There's a rumor that he would remove some of the floorboards in the penthouse so he could watch rehearsals, quotation marks. I'm kind of like, all right, women's dressing rooms, let's just be honest. But he passed away in 1931, but apparently he is the most active ghost at the Belasco. And some of the sightings have included a dark figure watching the actors on stage. He'll walk around the lobby and backstage and congratulate the actors on a good performance. He's also pinched the bottoms of women, so he's kind of a perv. And actually, my friend Ryan Sprague did a really great write-up on that haunting. So, actually, I'll put a link to that in the Spreaker chat if you guys want to do. It's a much more intense write-up than my little a four-sentence story there. But that one amuses me, too. So I guess that would have to be my runner-up. But, you know, creepy old man haunting the theater and pinching women's bottoms. Fun times, right?
Yay! Whoop. Sorry about that. That is interesting. That is very interesting. But it's also very theater because, you know, why are you into theater? Lots of barely scantily clad women. If you're, you know, that kind of guy. So, well, that is very, very cool. What are you working on now? You know, you do have your team, and you were talking with me a little bit about working with your team and some of the frustrations of that just recently, the Association of Paranormal Study. What kinds of cases have you been doing with them, and do you want to continue to do?
Let's see. So right now we've been working on quite a few cases. Now, I say that we're working on, like right now I think we have like 5 or 6 cases in our queue. One of them just kind of came up last minute because another team just left a huge mess there. You know, that's always great. That's always great when, you know, that happens. Not really. I don't like cleaning up after people because it just adds a layer of complication. But anyway.
What do you do? Well, what do you do to clean up? That's the kind of thing that we like to hear about. It's a mess, and what do you do?
Well, we have to interview the clients all over again, you know, just to see, you know, start from step one. So we usually, you know, start from the beginning anyway, but then we have to say, okay, what did the other team do? So we'll basically get a breakdown of, you know, what did they say? What did they do? Did they bring anything with them? Did they, you know, sage? Did they use sage? Did they use oils? Did they use anything? Or did they just come in? Did they provoke, you know? So we have to find out what the previous team did. And then we kind of have to have a powwow and say, okay, well, what didn't work? And so sometimes, you know, when you do walk into a case where a team left, sometimes it helps. Usually what I'll do is I'll contact the team that worked with them and say, hey, can you send me some notes? Can you tell me anything about this case? So usually I'll be very cordial, and, you know, it also helps me get some information about the client because there's also an epidemic of clients going from team to team to team because they're not hearing what they want out of the team that they brought in. So they'll basically chuck that team to the side and then look for another team. That happened to us 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. So, I mean, just having a conversation and a line of communication with the former team is a good idea. It's something that has to be done. And sometimes they work with us and sometimes they don't. If they don't work with us, then that's a red flag for me. So the ones that do work with us, you know, we kind of have a working relationship sometimes. So yeah, I had someone that I know here, Jennifer, came on the show in the spring. She had things happening in her house, and in her situation, the team actually fled the house while things were happening. Oh, no. And then broke up. Oh, it was that bad.
It was that bad. They fled the house and immediately dissolved. And so she was, you know, just betwixt and between because she didn't think anybody would come and work with her and eventually resolve the situation another way, the more spiritual, you know, cleansing, clearing, healing, prayerful way than, you know, having people come in and you know, I think they provoked what was there, was basically the situation.
And that's something a lot of teams are doing now, and it all comes down to the motivation of that team. And unfortunately, I found that we don't get a lot of clients as like a first, like we haven't been a client's first team in a little bit. We're usually like the second or the third. And I've noticed that the teams that usually get them the first time around, they have the poses that are very similar to like the paranormal reality shows. They wear the all black. They have like the Ed Hardy on and the tattoos, and So they really fit that image of what the media has painted as a ghost hunter. So, and that's fine, but you also have to, as if you are a paranormal investigator and you don't do anything that's a solutions based, you just want to collect data, you need to tell the client that. If you just want to go in there and provoke and, get the cool video or get the cool photo so you can put on your website or YouTube channel, that's fine. You have to tell the client, though, because the client may be thinking you're going to do one thing, but you're going to be doing something else completely different. So that's a lot of what we get is, they came in, they pissed it off, and then they left. So, so that's when, we have, a lot of times we can't use Sage because the first team tried Sage and it made things worse because they probably didn't do it right. Which is possible. So, let's see.
What can people do? So if you have a haunting and you may have a team or you don't have a team or you don't know of a team, what can people do to help themselves?
Well, if you're gonna go into people's homes, you need to be honest. But if you have a haunting and you want a team to come in there, you need to be very clear and honest as to what you want out of the investigation. Do you want the team to get rid of it? Do you want to know what it is? Do you just want to talk to somebody? You need to be very honest with that. And speaking of honesty, you also need to tell the team if you're on any sorts of medication. That's part of our case submissions form. So, and my thing is, and this is what I tell the client in a first phone conversation: were you completely honest in your submission, in your form? And if they say yes, I'm like, okay, let's go forward. But if I find out that the client lied, we leave. So it's because it's putting our personal safety at risk, not just spiritually but also physically. We had a client a few years ago who told us she was not on any sorts of medication. And I'm like, okay. And then, she gives us a tour of the house and I see all these pill bottles on her dresser. And I'm like, I didn't say anything. Like, I just kind of sat there. And then, I'm interviewing her and I was about to ask about the medication, but then her son comes in with an armful of medicine. He's like, Mom, are you going to tell her about what you're taking right now? And I just looked at her, I'm like, and I'm looking at the medication, and it's antipsychotics and, all sorts of medication that can cause hallucinations and, disturb sleep, basically just could cause all of the phenomenon that she was describing to us. And I basically told her, I said, we can't do anything for you, like, right now because you're on these medications, and I don't want to move forward unless your doctor's okay with this. So, or you get a medical clearance. So
I had a call from a distraught mother who said, "Can you read my property? My daughter has had a seizure and was, she fell on the floor, had a seizure and was foaming at the mouth. And then she said she had seen this dark entity in the back corner of the property. And then after that, 3 days later, or, several days later, her boyfriend fell down, had a seizure, and was foaming at the mouth. And I did a reading for her for free because I was like, well, let's see if this is even a thing. Well, both of them had been taking one of those new designer drugs.
Oh, no.
Recreational drugs. And they basically were shining it on to their mom that this negative demonic being had caused them to fall down and have a seizure and foam at the mouth. Well, no, there are all sorts of new drugs coming in, and it was I felt bad that I had to say, I can't help you. You really need to talk to your daughter. No, I don't see anything on your property. I do see your daughter doing this.
Oh, gosh. And that's the worst. It's the worst when, oh, gosh. Like, having to turn down a client is never fun in the first place. So,
and not wanting to be that person that gets mom really upset with her daughter. But yet, being in a spirit medium, I don't appreciate a smart punky kid saying that, the paranormal has done this. It's like, no, it didn't.
Yeah, it's
no.
Well, lying to a medium is never a good idea in the first place. So, we actually have quite a few clients who are not being honest, or they have sort of created their own entity from their own stress, and I guess you could call like a really mild like tulpa or thought form, where we see the phenomenon and like, yeah, we can go in there, we can do a blessing, we can do a cleansing, we can bury stones on the four corners of your property, we can do all these things, but what a lot of clients don't understand is there's a lot of work that you have to do within yourself. Whether you need to go to therapy or you need to go to marriage counseling or you need to stop drinking, and I know it's not as easy as just putting down the bottle. I totally understand that, everybody. But if you're going through your own personal turmoil and you're having, this phenomenon happening around you, it's all connected. It's all connected. Whether you have a intelligent, conscious being that's, inflicting you with more stress, or your stress is projecting out to your external environment. So, whether it's, like I mentioned, going to therapy or going to Bible study, doing something that is positive for you and making a positive change, that will be a good step in the right direction. So, and that's actually been a lot of our cases lately where, the client is depressed or they're self-loathing or they're doing drugs, and they don't tell us they're doing drugs, but we find out they're doing drugs because the evidence is there. If they're not willing to work on themselves along with the work that we're doing for them, it's going to come back in time, whether that's tomorrow or a month from now or a year from now. If you continue in the negative behaviors that are harming you, eventually that whole situation is just going to come back eventually.
Yeah. It's staying clear. I mean, as I've gone on as a medium, especially in the past 10 years, staying clear of thought forms, staying clear of things that you pick up, that just becomes part of my daily work and monthly work. And, here's the big wampum clearing time, every 6 months, once a year,
Yeah.
People don't think that it's important, but a lot of our issues and sadnesses are often that we've walked through or kind of had energies from other people or other places stick to us or glom on to us, or we've been open to them, so they've found a resonant frequency. It's like, oh yeah, I can be here too. This fits, and that's really, really very important for paranormal researchers and people who are interested in the field to get clear, stay clear. Wow. So what's up next for you? You've been doing the JJ monologues, you told me.
I love the censored version.
Yeah, I don't know what we can say on Spreaker. I'm like, well, I don't know if we can get away with heck, but the JJ.
So if y'all are interested in what's going on, go to vdayraleigh.org. So I'm doing a fundraiser right now for Interact of Wake County, which is located in Raleigh. It's the only shelter for domestic violence and assault victims in the county. And they barely hit they barely make any sort of money to pay their employees and whatnot every year. They also have the only place in North Carolina. It's called the Solace Center. So if somebody is, raped, they usually have to go to an ER. The Solace Center is actually a really wonderful place where the police come to them in this center. They can get a hot shower after they've been examined. They go at the victim's pace. Whereas you're going through the trauma of being at an ER and going with doctors and nurses, and you're probably sitting there for 12 hours. So Interact really offers wonderful services for women and men in Raleigh, and we're basically doing the JJ monologues as a fundraiser. If anyone's interested and you're in North Carolina and you want to see it, go to vdayraleigh.org. Or if you feel inspired and you want to, donate some money, go to the website. We're trying to raise at least $1,000 for the organization, and that's taken up all my time right now. I also started a new podcast. It's called Informal Paranormal. It's with my team. It's ridiculous. There's a lot of laughing, and it's very entertaining, in my opinion, because it's hilarious. And then we're also planning a trip to Gettysburg in May. So if you want to tag along, find me on Facebook and let me know and see if we can fit you in. So and then convention season. Yay.
And so people can find you at alexmatsuo.com.
Yep, alexmatsuo.com. Find me. You can also find me on Facebook. Just type in Alex Matsuo. I accept, friend requests. So, yeah. I love the speaker chat. Anyway, yeah. So find me on Facebook. Website.
Great. Yeah. So if you have questions for Alex, go find her, Alex Matsuo, alexmatsuo.com, and on Facebook. Alex, thanks you so much for being here with us tonight to tell us about your work and what you have planned in the future. And this is Elizabeth Anglin. We are about to welcome in James, Skeeter, and Joanna for Two Mediums and the Large. This will be a call-in show. If you have psychic questions for Joanna, James, Skeeter, that's coming up right after this. I am Elizabeth Anglin. You can find me at elizabethanglin.com or on Facebook. I do friend people, too, on Facebook. Thank you so much for listening to Cosmic Passport. We'll be back next week with another great lineup of shows. And from Uncle Jimbo's cabin, this is Elizabeth signing off. Good night.
Good night, Elizabeth. And good night, Alex. Have fun with the Regina monologues. Oh, hold on. That's in Saskatchewan.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on Two Mediums and a Large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two Mediums and a Large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, News Director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, We are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
It's time to go live on Spaced Out Weekend.
$13, please. Oh, hi, Kevin. Oh, is that the time? Kevin, my friend, don't you find that watch just a little bit loud? Well, I certainly hope our buddy Bumblefoot is playing when we get there. Oh, you stinky big bundle of hair. I said Bumblefoot, not Bigfoot. Oh, it's going to be a long night.
It's time to head to the 13th floor of the old log cabin for Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson. You can tweet James at James Tyson SOR. You can find him on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, as well as on Facebook. On YouTube, our channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can check out our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, perched high in his captain's chair, way above the clouds, here's James Tyson.
Welcome, everybody, to Spaced Out Weekend. Thank you for dropping by my little log cabin here on the 13th floor of the Spaced Out Radio Network in the paranormal portals of the lower left Canadian coast. Cascadia, the Pacific Northwest, where the other end of the cabin is way down in New Mexico. See? Way over there. I can see Elizabeth, actually, from... No, she's already come. She'll be back. We're here broadcasting to you 7 nights a week via the Spaced Out Radio Network and spacedoutradio.com. We'd like to thank all those other fancy people who keep pushing out our wonderful broadcast 7 nights a week, and we have some new ones. We have, well, who we have always had is, who have we always had? Elizabeth? Who have we always had? We've had the High Pain Talk Radio Network. No, because you're not on the air right now. Everybody, Elizabeth is talking to me. Stand by, I'm taking off my headphones. We'd like to thank the High Plains Talk Radio Network. We'd like to thank United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM in New Orleans, broadcasting and taking us out to 160 countries around this little planet of ours. And hopefully most of those are English-speaking, because it's just a moot point if they're actually taking us out to a bunch of people who don't speak English. We'd like to thank everybody tuning in down in Australia, New Zealand. G'day, and have a nice Monday afternoon for you. For those of you in the UK and Western Europe, it is way too early for you to get up. It's 6 o'clock in the blessed AM on a Monday morning. You're probably in rush hour and wondering how the heck you tuned into us. Well, it wasn't on the United Public Radio Network. It could be Renegade Talk Radio Network out of Las Vegas. Now we're coming to you on TalkStream Live, as well as Stitcher. And coming up, Radio Guide FM and WQEE 99 FM in the greater Atlanta area, and it's in the middle of the night for those guys too. And we'd like to thank our Music Man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, formerly of Guns N' Roses, now of Art of Anarchy, and he is his own musician. He is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, and we love him for that. Please go to his website, Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Follow him on Instagram and Twitter, Bumblefoot. He is traveling all over the place, and yes, he is showing up in Greece for his annual rock school over there for those gifted kids. It's a fantastic work that he does, helping those children along. You can follow me on Twitter, James Tyson SOR. Give my Facebook page a like at Spaced Out Weekend. Drop by Spaced Out Radio Show on Instagram. You can follow me on Spaced Out Weekend. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, as well as on iTunes. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks everybody for listening. That was the show. And we'd like to thank everybody. Oh my. And I'm going to keep the rest of the 26 pages here that Dave Scott makes me read. But while I've got your attention, I want you to write down this phone number. It is 575-694-6634. That's 575-694-6634. After midnight, call 1-800... No, never mind. You can also Skype in at James_Tyson32. James_Tyson32 for those of you outside of North America and don't have to add a whole bunch of dang country codes to these numbers, which I wasn't going to get into for my friends in Australia. Just try calling us on Skype. I'm going to leave the country codes to you. But again, 575-694-6634. Tonight, we have with us her one time a month that she shows in because she's a very, very busy woman, Joanna the Medium. Now, Joanna has been on our show for a little over a year now, almost 2 years. Gosh darn it. She has her own website, as you were. She has her own YouTube channel that is just going crazy, taking off. You can get a hold of her at joannathemedium.com if you want a private reading, and better phone in because she is booked months in advance. And I keep telling her to charge way more than she does because it's just, I'm glad they don't hear you. She also, what's cute about Joanna, she snorts when she laughs. But and now her microphone's open, so this will be good. But go look her up, joannathemedium.com. Absolutely fantastic. You know her from this show. You know her, our connection as a Spaced Out Weekend family with her spirit guide or her ET guide, Rob. And Paisley called in sick, so that's coming right off her pay. She's not available tonight, but we have Skeeter Welhouse stepping up and coming in on behalf of Paisley. Skeeter is a fantastic psychic, spirit medium, does everything. I'm going to be with her at the end of the month in Portland, Oregon for a paranormal conference in Portland. We are going to tear up the town. Okay, maybe not. You can get a hold of Skeeter at bluemoonweaver.com, bluemoonweaver.com, and check out her stuff that she does. Her stuff. She is on, actually, 3 Sundays a month on Spaced Out Weekend. She co-hosts The Shift with me, and she comes on and does a 2 mediums and a large too. Absolutely fantastic. Having both of them on tonight is quite frightening, actually. We have the power hitters for psychics in the Pacific Northwest here in Western Canada and the Northwestern U.S. So thanks very much, ladies, for dropping by. Skeeter, how have you been?
Good, you?
Yeah, okay. I got a little bit of sciatica. Other than that, it's okay. Joanna, how about you?
Great, thank you. How are you, James?
I am fine. And now, poor Paisley, because, and I want to tell the listener this, Joanna wanted to come on with Skeeter. And I said, well, you might be able to get on with her someday if, Paisley's, not well or out of town. And Paisley called in sick. So I got a hold of Joanna, and she goes, oh, great. I manifested that. And I went, oh, well, good. I'll tell Paisley. Paisley's got the plague because Joanna said, "Yeah, I like to work with Skeeter." Joanna, what is going on? You can't just knock off the other people. When you manifest, I thought it was supposed to be for good.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Well,
who's that?
Who's that?
Is that Amy?
That is you, yes.
No. Is that Alex?
It could be. We have a lineup tonight waiting for readings. I'm going to get Vanessa in from Yellowknife up in northern Canada, north of 60, where it's dark all the time up there. How can you deal with that, Vanessa? Holy cow.
Well, I'm just here for a little bit.
Okay. Just I just walk around with a flashlight all the time. Yeah.
No, there's actually half-time daylight and half-time dark here right now.
Oh, so
half and half.
Oh, it is half? Oh, I guess it's spring. It's getting a little bit better. That's going to be kind of cool. Hey, I've got another call coming in, so I'm going to let Vanessa kind of do her thing. Paisley and, Skeeter and Joanna. Vanessa's never had a reading like this before. And I'll let you three go at it.
Hey, Vanessa, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What can we do for you?
I don't know. I don't really know what I'm getting into here.
Just if Vanessa,
just throw out a question or a thought or a request. We'll cover it as best we can.
I told her even beforehand, just maybe something will come through. Just ask for a general reading, and it actually might come through.
Yeah.
Vanessa, are you really nervous right now?
Not really.
Okay, would there be any reason why I feel constriction in my chest right now? So that typically happens when either somebody's nervous right this minute, or someone who has a tendency to feel anxious quite often, or an anxiety. Does that make any sense to you?
I could start by telling you that Vanessa is not my real name.
Doesn't really matter. No, it makes no. I'm picking up your energy. It makes no difference if the name is, a bird. It makes no sense. It makes no difference. I'm just picking up. Maybe that's why you don't want to know your full name. But would it make any sense? Because I feel restriction right now, and it's coming up to my throat as I'm speaking to you. Do you have a tendency to feel an anxiety?
Not that frequent, but I do sometimes.
Okay, if I told you that they're telling me that the anxiousness or an anxiety is connected to a father or a father figure, would that make any sense to you?
A father related to me.
Or a father figure. Your anxiousness or an anxiety related to a father or a father figure. Skeeter, I don't think she's picking up what I'm trying to say. Do you want to jump in?
One of the things that jumped at me right away is there's a male energy right behind her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of encouraging her to grow up. She's at the reason why you're probably picking up the high energy.
Yeah.
And forgive me if I'm wrong, is that you're at a crossroads in your life. There's kind of a shift going on that's going to push you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And you're not exactly thrilled about it, but it's a good opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's what's actually making you anxious, and that's what Joanna's picking up on.
Okay.
Is the anxiety over this crossroads that's pushing you out of your comfort zone.
And it's quite strong. Yeah. It's quite strong.
And the funny thing is that you kind of asked for this, but you don't like the way it's coming. There's an old saying, be careful what you ask for. The universe does deliver.
Yeah.
As far as what's coming, even though it's pushing you out of your comfort zone, go ahead and start approaching it and kind of go into it. I know you don't feel like your skill set is ready for this, but there's a really great quote by Richard Branson, the head of Virgin. It says, "Go ahead and say yes and learn along the way." Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's a really good opportunity. It's going to push you socially. It's going to push you mentally. It's going to push you a little physically. But it's going to open up some doors for you, which is what you actually asked for. You asked the universe to open up some doors for you. Is that right?
Yes.
So this is its way of opening the doors, even if it's kind of opening it with a tornado.
Okay.
Interesting. I've got...
Joanna, do you got more on this?
Well, it's interesting because as you're talking about the future, my guide is asking me to go to the past for a moment. And Vanessa, the moment I heard your voice, before we even started talking, I kept seeing the number 5. So 5 is 5. It also stands for May. But in this particular situation, 5 stands for me as a symbol for a sign of change. So Skeeter already mentioned, and you said yes, there is in fact changes coming in your life, and they're good changes, but I still am supposed to, or I'm being asked to talk about either a father or a father figure and having some unresolved issues or challenges from the past, particularly as it relates to your childhood. Would you understand what I mean by that?
I do.
Okay. They're asking, and see, the moment I talk about it, my heart feels like it's going to jump out of my chest because I get terrible anxiety with this. I feel very nervous, and I feel like I want to cry, and I feel like a sensation of choking. So there's definitely a sense of something from the past, and specifically childhood is being underlined. I want to say around the age of 5 or 6. You may or may not have memory of this, and I'm not saying this is anything terrible, but you would probably understand what I mean by this. There are some unresolved feelings around a father or a father figure that are asking you to please take care of.
Yeah.
Particularly as you're going on this new venture, you are spreading your wings very much. There is, I'm seeing what my guide is calling a bit of a black cloud in your history, meaning there is some dark moments in the past. And he's saying to me, this, where you're going is very much like you are coming out of a dark tunnel. There is a light at the end of the tunnel for you. Be brave, be bold, and do not be afraid to ask for what you want, which is what Skeeter was also trying to say. But this feeling that I feel like something is keeping me still and not allowing me to move forward. And I want to call this a fear. And whatever that is for you, it is stemming from a past, and it's connected to a father or father figure. So just maybe a little bit of healing around this, because where you're going, it's time for you to put it in the past. That's what I want to say. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Perfect.
And also, you're going to be okay. They're saying you're going to be okay.
Oh yeah, she's going to be more than fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's Skeeter. She's one of the trifecta.
Oh.
That for some reason, I was told these 3 are coming out of the woodwork, and she's one of them. And
is she one of the blondes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And are you the more quiet one of the 3?
Yes.
Are you?
You are.
Honey,
you are.
It's all good.
It's good.
You're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but it's totally cool.
I will.
That's fine. Right. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, it's this other stuff that something came to me. Mm-hmm. Something Spirit said that there'll be three people not related, but like a family, all doing the same thing, but still like bickering siblings at times, and not completely connected like family, but sort of family. I happen to look on Instagram, and I saw a picture of one of them that glowed in the dark. So I went out to meet the person, and the other two were like, "Oh crap!" I'm looking at them, going, "This is creepy. This is." And I had a talk to Vanessa, which was similar to this and I gave her my forgiveness lecture about going, just saying the 3 words in your head, "I forgive you," and move on to the next one. And it's interesting. She's a super empath, glow in the dark kind of person, and very very connected to spirit, and very very strong, outwardly very very strong with energy, but a big soft spot in the middle.
Which also explains probably what I'm seeing. She had to go through some turmoil in the past.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Her past
Vanessa, would you
great.
Understand if I told you, because I'm seeing this over and over again, so because he's showing it to me, I'm going to pass this on. And I don't know if this is you or somebody connected to you, and this is in your past, but I see either heavy drinking or heavy use of abuse of alcohol, drugs, or self-sabotaging type of behavior.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's before she leaves, because Skeeter, she's one of the 3 people that I want. Will be contacting you about a full-on reading. So because all 3 of them are kind of in the same. It's very very cool, and it's really hard to explain to the listener because it's more of a personal thing that's around where I live and the people that I'm coming in contact with, and it's because it's personal. I can't get into it, but they're very very nice young ladies. I was wondering if somebody could tell me on behalf of Vanessa the names of her guides or angels.
Joanna, do you know?
I'm just listening to what he's saying to me. So the very first thing I heard, it's interesting with me because whenever I'm asked the question about guides, they always tell me they don't have names, and then they say whatever name comes to you is okay with you calling them that name. So that is how, by my experience. However, having said that, the very first thing I heard is that whether you believe in angels or not, I was told that Archangel Michael is very much working around you, but you have also asked for protection, and you've been asking for quite some time. And interestingly enough, Archangel Gabriel. So I actually don't know what Archangel Gabriel is about, but they're showing me those 2 very prominent archangels. You have a lot of protection around you, and I'm also hearing that you are now you are safe, and this is very much connected to your root chakra. There has been some challenges in your root chakra that has been your root chakra has been undermined in the past, which is also affecting your second chakra, and that's to do with safety or feeling safe and comfortable in personal intimate relationships. But they're saying to me, and they're showing me drinking, and they're saying to me, you are now safe. Does that make any sense to you?
It does.
Okay. So your prayers have been heard, so to speak. So I don't get a name for a guide, but these 2 particular archangels, I'm being asked to pass this on to you.
Cool.
Also, who is Sam? Do you know who is Sam? I keep hearing Sam.
Sam?
Yes. Do you know a Sam? Sam? No? Okay. So maybe just leave it somewhere, put it in the back burner, and maybe it's something that'll make sense to you down the road.
It could be a Samantha too. Sam or Samantha.
Could be, yeah.
Okay.
Skeeter, anything left over from you?
Nope, I'm good.
Oh, I'm sure you are. Vanessa, how about you? Okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
I wish you could see the card that I pulled for you. These cards have no names, no meanings, no numbers. It's black and white card, and he specifically told me which card to pick. It's a person standing, and behind the person are these voices and these figures that are like devil, and they're screaming at this person, but they're behind her now. And this is very much what they were communicating to me earlier, that you are safe now.
Okay.
That's cool.
I don't know if that means anything to you, but
it does. It does.
Okay.
Oh, very cool,
I hope
Vanessa.
this helps.
Thank you.
You have a good sleep, and I'll talk to you when you get back.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, very, very cool lady. And we're still getting calls coming in. Now, remember, I'm going to have to call you back. We've got a number of calls that have come through, and I don't have a mechanism, actually, for putting these calls into the great scheme of things. So if I do phone you back, you don't have to say hello. You'll be just brought right into the studio. Okay, our next one up, I'm going to call on Alex. Anything?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Alex.
I don't really have any particular questions, so I mean, if anything comes through, yeah, let me know.
Any questions about any of the ghosts you run into? I'm serious.
I would say probably the one I experienced when I was 18 years old in 2004.
My God. My shoes are older than that.
Is there a question around this, or do you want me to, Skeeter, is it okay if I start?
Yes, go for it.
Yes? Okay. So, Alex, is it Alexandra? Short for Alexandra? Yes, it is. Okay. So the moment you spoke, first of all, I heard the word quite a journey. So you're on quite a journey. I don't know what that means to you. But I also heard and saw the number 8. Now, other than the sign of 8 and the number and the month of August, this to me signifies there is I'm actually going to see what the wording is here. Your life path, apparently, or your life in this physical body is very much about you owning, accessing, and fully embodying your own power. So, then I took pulled 2 cards. They actually fell out. So the first card came out was the second chakra, which is right after the first one. And I want to ask why he's showing me this. And he's saying to me that when you were quite young, and whether either you saw something or you were seeing things or you've experienced something that scared you, quote unquote, half to death. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to see why he's bringing this up. He's saying to me that for centuries now, which means many lifetimes, you keep choosing to come into a body and be able to experience things that are, quote, paranormal. So you guys just talked about ghosts, so that makes sense to me. But I want to go even further. It's more than just ghosts. I feel like you're actually are able to, or you do, see things like spaceships or the other kind of beings. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. The other thing that came up was the card called the Tower. Tower to me signifies that there is a major change happening in and around you, but this is very much a change happening within you. And I feel like there's some major changes in the works for you. Now, these changes are not bad changes, but these changes do show me that the road in front of you is going to be a little bit turbulent. Now, before you freak out, I'm going to ask what that means. And what they're saying to me is that they're showing me a vision of you. They're showing me your body, and they're showing me like a vision of it is I have like the old skin is being stripped from you, literally torn away from you, to expose the brand new you, which is interesting because the number 8 is very much about your power and embodying your power. And as I see the skin being stripped out from you or away from you, the brand new emerges, but it feels very raw. And that's what I meant when I said the road is going to be a little bit bumpy for the next, I want to say 6 or 7 months. Now, is this happening? Do you know what the heck I'm talking about? Or is this just like whatever?
No, it makes sense.
It makes sense?
Yeah,
okay.
It does.
What he's also saying to me is that, the journeys that you keep choosing for yourself apparently are not overly smooth. And he shows me that ever since you were quite young, when it comes to your stability or feeling stable, I keep seeing these bumps in the road. It's never really smooth sailing. Now, life never really is smooth sailing all the time, but he's showing me these bumps on the roads pretty much on regular basis. So that tells me that, the lives that you keep choosing are very eventful. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. He's also talking about the word relationships, and he's talking about, he showed me a big obstacle, and this obstacle is in front of me. So either you are currently looking at an obstacle within a relationship, and this could be relationship with parents, partner, any relationship, or there's going to be an obstacle, and it's shown to me a bit as a mountain that you will have to look at and overcome. However, when I tune into it, I see and feel that this is not something that's going to take you by surprise. And as a matter of fact, I have a feeling that intuitively you probably already know what I'm talking about. Does that make any sense to you?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's also telling me that you are, there's a need for you to make some changes, and some of these changes will in fact be drastic. Okay. However, he says, do not be afraid of your changes. And again, he shows me the number 8. Whatever these changes are, they have the potential to make you feel slightly uncomfortable. But remember, your life path in this life is very much about you owning your power.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Can I leave that with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Skeeter?
I just have a question. What is up with the eyes? Or my eyes are being bothered, which tells me it's something with you. And it's not so much as your physical vision as you're actually opening up to another form of seeing.
I mean, if we're talking like spiritual gifts and whatnot, I've had quite a few people tell me that I have a gift, but I'm choosing not to use it. So
yeah, you can actually see spirits. They're a little annoyed with you for not doing so. When you were little, the big guy that you saw, he's the one who kind of deterred you from wanting to see more, right?
Yeah.
And he's still around you, which is kind of annoying for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is really freaky right now. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah.
Okay, without saying what he is,
I'm
going to tell you he is what you think he is.
Okay.
And the times that you've been scratched, that's him.
And remember, your path is about owning your power.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joanna's right on that one. If you own yourself, you take his power away from him and own your own.
That's right. Yeah.
Wow.
My advice to you would be to tell him flat out, listen, I'm done. I never meant to open that door. I send you on your way now with love and light, and you are never to cross my threshold again. And he may not appreciate it, but keep saying it. And own yourself. And don't let him steal away your ability to see spirit. He doesn't want you to see what you're supposed to see.
Because it makes you more powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you want me to have a talk to this guy, Alex?
I want to see that. I will pay to see this conversation.
Right on, Skeeter. Alex, do you ever ask for Archangel Michael for protection? Do you believe in archangels?
I've been having quite a turbulent relationship with religion right now, so I don't necessarily know what I believe.
I got it. Yeah. I understand.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you do have a guide who kind of looks like a cowboy.
Perfect.
That's like the third time I've heard that. That's
And believe it or not, he has wings. And he says whether or not you believe in angels, he believes in you. And all you have to do is call on him, and he'll step on this fella.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yep. When your angel's name is Clint, There's no fooling around. Yes, Mr. Eastwood. That's Alex. See, you came into this thinking, "Gee, what should I ask?"
Yeah.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
That was brilliant. Wow. Yeah. If I was you, I wouldn't sleep tonight.
Oh my God, James.
Oh, sorry. We're live, aren't we? Sorry. No, that's very cool. Any follow-up, young lady? Alex?
How's my mom doing?
She's good, but she's busy watching out for you as you keep making her heart race. She says, "Can't you pick up a nicer path, a quieter path?"
Nice.
Nah, she loves you. She knows that where you are is where you belong. It's just, as a mom, you get protective, but she's there for you, and it's peaceful where she's at now. She says everything is with her now. All the memories, all the thoughts, everything has transferred over to where she is. So don't worry about that.
So she's crossed over and everything?
Yep.
Good. I heard, right after she died, I was told by our team medium that she was going to stick around until I went until I died. And I'm like, no, just go cross over, go enjoy things.
I don't need you in my personal life, Mom.
She says it was easier to cross over once they explained to her that she could come back and watch you anytime she wanted.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. That's exactly what my team medium was trying to tell her. I'm trying to tell her she can come back, but she's not believing me right now. So that's, wow. Okay. Nice. Nice to get that little confirmation.
Yeah. No, yeah, she figured it out.
And they come back without any judgment either.
Yeah.
Actually, it's better that way.
To my mom, I want to ask real quick: does she like my current partner?
Oh, jeez. I didn't say that I'm going to mute myself.
Have the same answer I do.
I'm going to mute myself. No, it's not. It's not what you think. Because I wanted to say something to you afterwards, but so it came out wrong. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. That could be a conversation for after.
Oh God. Well, can I jump in?
Yeah.
As you and Skeeter were talking, I kept being pushed to say this. It's not really a question that you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But what he's saying to me, and hoping this is going to make sense to you, that, again, this is all about your power, that in the past you have had a tendency to give your power away in relationships. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Because what he's saying is, if you want to know how to get rid of your friend, quotation marks, start having firmer boundaries in your own relationships first.
Okay.
Because that's really what it belongs. Because he's saying to me that although you come across very strong, a lot of it is your protection. Because you're actually someone who's quite giving. Not that you don't come across very giving, but you're also someone who's very sensitive. And the moment I say this, I have this stiffness or the stuckness in my throat, which tells me that what I'm saying, you do not want people to know that, because that's a vulnerability. Okay. So again, he's showing me that your boundaries aren't very high when it comes to personal relationships, and it would benefit you to, first of all, learn how to say no more often, and also have higher boundaries so that people have more respect for you.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So that when you ask the question about the partner, I kind of burst out, but not because there is something wrong with your partner, but because, never mind.
There's nothing wrong with the partner, but he'd be better as a friend and a support.
Okay.
Than as a romantic partner.
Okay.
Because better.
Because that's my job.
But he is better.
Yeah.
What?
What?
It's Alex. She's cute. Anyway.
On.
So I know as a psychic, when you're working with a client, you don't cross that boundary. But as a host of a psychic show, boy, no. Teasing you guys. Come on. Alex, this is all recorded. So if you're not taking a lot of notes, you can always come back and listen to it later.
That is true.
Yeah, because this is sometimes with Joanna and Skeeter, it's like a doctor when they're telling you something serious and you just kind of, what? And you have no idea what they said at the end of the day. So for anybody calling in, it is recorded. I would always suggest grabbing a notepad and jotting a few of these things down, because you're going to be thinking about it for quite a while.
Yeah. Also, Alex, just very quickly, would there be any reason why all of a sudden they're showing me a female cat around you?
I have 4 female cats, so...
This is one that... typically when I see it that way, it's spirit cat, and she just popped in. And I see her as black and white. Who's
mine? We're going to talk about mine. She's black and white.
Is this Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Okay, because I also heard either just about crossing over or crossed over.
Ooh.
So it's not your Alex?
No, my girls are okay.
Okay. And you don't have one that's already gone?
I do. I have one.
Is it black and white?
She was more like gray and white, but she had some black to her.
Female,
yes.
Female. Because Elizabeth, I do want to say it's for Alex, because my guide is pointing at Alex.
Okay.
May I ask, is this a somewhat recent past, within the next 2-3 years?
She passed in 2010.
No, that's longer. Yeah, he's pointing at you. He says it's Alex. Yeah, she just meowed. She just meowed at me too. So, as a reference, because she's now telling me to ask you this, are you wearing a necklace on your neck right now? And I know it's a standard question, but standard thing that people wear. But are you wearing a silver necklace on your neck right now?
No, I don't have anything around my neck.
Do you normally wear something silver around your neck?
Yeah, I'll wear
and this would be like pretty on regular basis.
Yes.
You do?
Okay. I mean, not like really regular, but a couple times a week.
He says fairly regular. Elizabeth, do you wear something silver on your neck on regular basis?
Yeah, when the shop is open, I always have a silver necklace on when I'm working.
Okay, so I'm going to leave that one, because now I'm confused which one is who the cat belongs to. But again, she just walked over to you, Alex. So I'm just going to leave it at that, because we could have a 4-hour conversation about that now.
Yeah, we're not allowed to have cat people on anymore. It's a rule.
What?
No, I'm kidding. But if you want to talk for 4 hours about cats, we can take one of Dave's days. Maybe Tuesday we'll have a cat show, a dead cat show, which is funny. Not funny. Sorry. The first time I did a reading and I flipped my second card, I had a cat that had passed come through wanting to tell me about the illness in the cat the lady now has.
And didn't your grandma also come in with a gray cat once?
My grandmother? No.
No?
No.
I'm pretty sure somebody came to you with a gray cat.
No. Not that I don't remember if somebody did.
Okay.
If it was a reading, I don't remember sometimes what I say. Honest, I don't. It kind of comes out and I look at them going, oh, what did I just say? And why are you running away from me?
Yeah, but this was for you.
Can I ask my question about my cat, because I'm putting her down tomorrow?
Oh, no.
Yes, you can.
So I'm just wondering if we ask the question, if the cat Joanna sees will come back and answer it. Okay. Does she want to be? Is it okay with her? Is the first thing. Is that what she wants to do?
Is it okay for her to go to the other side?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask my helper over here. Let me ask my manager.
You want me to cover it, Joanne?
I'm just going to say this and you can take it on. He says she's ready to go.
Yeah. Okay. And then what does she want for a memorial? Does she want to be cremated? Is that important to her?
I actually heard that way before you even asked the questions, the cremated. But Skeeter, you can answer that one if you get up.
Yeah. She says the cremating is actually more important to you because it'll let you put her ashes where you would like to put them.
Okay.
For her, it's her dignity, her quality of life is down, and she's ready, like Joanna said. So this is, everything after this point is about you, and she wants you to do what will help you heal most.
Okay.
Are her kidneys failing?
Yeah, it may be kidneys. She has liver jaundice. She didn't eat for a few days. She got sick and stopped eating, and so now the liver's going. And
because the is kidneys, yeah.
Yeah, it might have been kidneys in addition to an infection. So, and so but she's up and she's walking around. She's been looking at me since you guys got on, walking back and forth in front of me, and I'm like, okay, I know you want to tell me, so. But I decided to stop medicating her and just not force feed her, and that tomorrow would be the day. So
that's tough. How old is she? Oh,
21.
Wow, that's a long life.
Yeah.
Is
that Oreo?
That's Oreo. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful! Look at that.
And she's up walking around. I mean, she's a little staggery, but she's up looking at me. So that was my first question. My second question is kind of like Alex's, if you have a moment. I invited a friend whose mother just passed to come and, quote-unquote, help me in the shop. But what I was thinking was, if I had people who wanted readings, she could cover the front and make some sales. And once I did this, she wants to, totally take over the space and redo it. I want to know if it's okay what's the best way for me to set my boundary with her, which is, my idea was to give you something to do and a place to be other than at home doing nothing, and also to be in a place you like to be, which is Madrid. She's an artist.
Is she listening right now?
I don't know. She might be. I don't want to hurt her feelings, but I do want her to know that I've already set up my shop. I already did this work that she says she's going to do for me. And if she looks around, she'll see that it's already done. But I don't want her to run away screaming, but I need to say no in a very diplomatic way. My idea was come and hang out and be helpful, not take over my business.
The moment you asked the question, I'm going to tell you the word I heard. I actually heard the word run.
Okay.
And then I said, okay, why am I hearing this? And all of a sudden I got this elephant sitting on my chest right now. Very uncomfortable. Obviously, I'm not saying she's a bad person. That's not what's being said here. But for whatever reason, and he's also saying that your intuition has been telling you.
So I'm getting it right. It's not about me being overly sensitive. It's about...
No.
Okay.
Skeeter, do you have more to add?
When she heard you say, could you please come and help? You meant help as in what you stated. What she heard was, could you please come help run my business?
Oh.
I don't need that.
And so she's a very motherly person, and her intent is to help take care of you.
I don't need that. Oh.
But she doesn't understand that, because she still sees you as a younger person still struggling.
Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah, I'm not struggling. I mean, I'm not making a ton of money, but I know.
But for her generation, you're struggling.
Yeah.
So she sees it as you asked for her help as an older, wiser person.
Mm-hmm.
Is everyone okay?
I'm fine.
My picture just
I'm
fell off
good.
the wall. I'm good. I knew this was going to be a fun show.
But you've got to realize that's what she heard. So when you approach her to ask her to leave, because Joanne's kind of right, you need to. This was done with the best of intentions, but the language barrier was really tough.
Okay.
Because she heard one thing you said. You said what you meant to say, but she heard something entirely different.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to explain to her, this is what I meant. I meant for you to sit at the register, help with some sales, but otherwise the shop is the way it is because that's the way I need it to be.
Right.
And that's important to the energy, the way you work, that energy that you have set up in your shop. It needs to be that way for you to do your work properly.
Right. And it's not about getting a feng shui book or doing it her way or putting in what she would put in. I've already done that. I did that last year. I did my thing. So, yeah.
But you did it for your energy. She wants to do it for hers.
Right. We can't do that.
No, because she's not the one doing the readings.
Right. So it is, as diplomatically, but the door is here, the door is shut. I think that she would do well in Madrid, but she needs her own space.
She does.
Yeah.
She's welcome to visit, but
don't bring anything.
Don't bring anything. Just buy.
Don't rearrange anything. Don't bring anything except yourself.
Yes.
Just say hi.
Stop in, bring a coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
That's tough.
Interesting.
Thank you for that, because that's a no. That's a hard one. I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, but it's like that's not what I meant. No, and it's a little off-putting because it's like she doesn't see everything I've already done, and I'm like, I've had people in this town come in and tell me what a great job I did, and they've been here doing this work for a long time, and she's like, oh well, we got to change that, and we got to change that, and we got to change. And I'm like, what?
But she's changing it for her, not you.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. So,
she's making it her space.
Yeah. So that's the rung. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
You're welcome.
Now, we, if anybody out there wants to give us a call in at 575-694-6634. Again, 575-694-6634. Or get a hold of me on Skype, James_Tyson32. Don't write out the word underscore. It's actually a thing on the keyboard. That's just out to my mother if she's in spirit wanting to Skype me. We have Joanna the Medium, and you can go to her website, joannathemedium.com, which will link to her really cool YouTube videos. We have our fabulous Skeeter Welhouse, co-host of The Shift, and you can go to Facebook, look up The Shift, join that page where we talk about all sorts of things that may happen in the new future, and that's with Skeeter Welhouse on The Shift and at bluemoonweaver.com. Again, bluemoonweaver.com. We have 3 minutes before you take that lovely 7-minute stretch, and I have a couple 3 callers piled up in here, ready to go. I'm going to go right now. We're going to go over to Christopher because I think you had a message to pass on to Joanna, didn't you?
Yes, I did. You hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Hi, Joanna. Nice to meet you.
Nice to chat with you again.
I have been, this guy I've been seeing in my dreams. He came back to me again.
Oh wow. The German guy?
Yeah, a week ago he came to me and told me about what was going on about current events, and now he talked Bible to me a couple days.
Wow.
But
in Genesis, no less.
Genesis, that's the banned part of the Bible right at the beginning. I'm pretty sure because I went to Sunday school. Joanna, do you know this German fellow that keeps coming to see Christopher?
I don't, but I will ask my manager.
He's going to go to the management.
Okay.
I defer. Hang on. Oh, so he's saying to me that this particular guy has been with Christopher for quite a few lifetimes. In a couple of lifetimes ago, World War I, the two of you were buddies, as in friends. I want to say almost best friends. And he's showing me that one of you died as by being stabbed. What's a bayonet?
Bayonet.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I saw that in a dream a couple days ago. My dad.
Really? Wow. So for whatever reason, he likes hanging around you. The last few times the two of you were together, it was in a capacity of friends, but also gay lovers. Sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry at all. It's just you might find it, interesting. Yeah.
Don't be sorry.
I'm not actually. I'm not. Because to me it makes no difference. To me, it makes no difference. But he likes hanging around you. So he's coming and actually showing you things that will happen?
Yeah, and what's interesting, he's from one of my countries of ancestry, Bohemia, Germany.
Wow, interesting.
There's a place that I see in Germany. Two places. I've been to Buchenwald and Schloss-Marienburg.
Very interesting. Mm-hmm. And I say that as a segue for me to go to the commercials. So we're going to be right back with more from Joanna the Medium, Skeeter Welhouse, right after our 7-minute stretch.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium, Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on 2 mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. 2 mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, news director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month, where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for. So join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Reveal Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Tonight's edition of Spaced Out Weekend is brought to you by spacedoutradio.com, where you can now sign up to become a Space Traveler member. Now, for the final time tonight, here's Spaced Out Weekend's James Tyson.
Welcome back, everybody, to Spaced Out Weekend. Thank you, Dave. And like he said, if you go to the spacedoutradio.com and you can join up the SOR Space Travelers Club, you can do a donation or pay the $5 a month via PayPal. And with that, you get your name gets entered into a monthly prize draws, access to private group interviews, access to special section on our website, and much more. And while you're there, go check out Eric Markham's SOR Spacewire for your latest in weird news. We also have the SOR Sightlines, and it's there if you've had an experience and wanted it investigated by our researcher, Mike Smith. Just fill out the Sightlines report, and he'll get back to you. All information that he receives is 100% confidential. And I don't mean that when he does the investigation, he receives information and then he won't tell you. Sorry. It's just one of those nights that I'm having where I read something and see it completely sideways. Give us a shout at 575-694-6634. Again, 575-694-6634. If you would like to get one of the psychics here to give you a psychic examination, we are before the break. We were talking to Christopher about his German friend. Hey, Joanna, when you were connecting with Christopher's friend, could you tell how long ago his last life was, and would he be considered a guide?
Christopher or Christopher's friend?
Christopher's friend.
Joanna, do you got information?
Oh, sorry. I thought you would. Let me ask. Let me ask management.
Oh, let's turn this into a union job.
He's saying to me that he died actually in World War II.
Okay.
As a young man.
As young men did, old. Yeah. Was he a German then, too?
Let me ask.
French. And same with world. Oh, he's French?
French. Yeah, he was French.
Oh, interesting. Because Christopher, you've got a lot of
connection to France.
Yeah, that's part of my ancestry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just like Germany is.
Okay. He wasn't. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Christopher, anything else?
Yes. Now I have a question since I'm done telling my message. I was thinking about safe places. If I go to Germany or to some of these places to look for my roots, would it be a bad time for me to do it?
I heard next year.
Next year would be a bad time, or next year would be the good time?
Let me ask him. This year is not the right time. Next year.
Wow.
Were you thinking of going this year?
I have this feeling that somebody from that part of my ancestry will eventually find me or meet me or whatever. So.
Joanna, I'm sorry, go ahead, Joanna.
I'm also getting that either something is going to transpire for you, Chris, around fall of this year, but then he showed me 2018. So either fall of this year or towards the first half of 2018.
Wow.
I also see you writing a letter, which would be an email, probably, or you find a letter. It's one of those two. Either you write a letter or you find a letter.
Oh, wow.
And I'm also seeing old books. So maybe the letter is in a book or something, but these are old books. Old books.
You got an idea where in Germany or where I'll probably be at?
I heard West Side. Now I'm terrible with geography, so what the hell does that mean, West Side?
Westphalia?
West side of Germany.
Oh, that's Hanover.
Is Hanover close to Hamburg?
Yes, that's where That's
because I have Hamburg written down.
That's the capital of Hanover.
Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense. Does it make sense to you?
I know my German geography pretty well now.
Yeah, hallelujah, because I don't.
Joanna, do you see where these books exist? Are they in North America or in Europe?
He's actually saying to me southeast of Wales. Well, Wales is in UK.
Southeast would be...
Southeast, did I say, or southwest? Southeast?
You said southeast.
Okay, southeast of Wales.
Well, that's Normandy.
Oh, I have no clue.
Yeah, it's kind of part of
Essex.
It's like, well, yeah, if it's in the UK, southeast would be Essex, yeah. But, if you keep going across the water.
I heard that in a Ghost Box read a few weeks ago on Bill's show.
Essex? Oh, okay.
Do you have any connection to that part of the world, Chris?
To Britain?
Yeah.
Hurley.
Sorry, no?
The Hurley family.
The Hurley family.
H-R-L-E-Y.
Is that the crest with horses?
No, the crest of... That would be connected to my mother's grandfather's side, actually.
Is that French?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a part of Great Britain. That's the Norman side of Great Britain.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Northern. I'm Saxon side, the real Brits. Anyway, credit to French people. That's
it's
interesting.
Complicated out there.
It is. There was a lot of back and forth, and then the Romans were there for a few hundred years too. That is going to be an interesting thing. Christopher? Do you have a notebook for dreams? A dream record? Mm-hmm. Okay, you keeping that up to date?
Yeah.
Good.
If I get afraid or something, I have to say I'm thankful that Joanna and Skeeter, all you're my friends. I can just ask. I know it'll be okay.
Yeah. Well, as long as you know they're okay, because I don't know that I'm okay.
I just missed a call. If you just called in, call in again. It popped up on the screen just before it disappeared. So please call in again. Christopher, is that good for tonight?
Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm just blown away as usual.
Well, thanks for calling, brother.
Thank you for posting all those posts on Facebook. That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'll chat with you again sometime, and Skeeter as well.
Take care.
Have a good night.
Yeah, good night, Christopher.
Bye.
Okay, we're going to bounce down to the 778 number. How are you?
Hi. How's everybody doing?
I are fine.
Good. Are I fine?
No, are you? I don't know.
You're such a weirdo. Are you talking half pirate or something?
Arr.
It's all pirates.
It's
never
all pirates.
A dull moment on Sunday nights, ma'am. Never.
It's the Saxon side of my family. When we fought Christopher's side of the Normans. Bloody Normans.
Oh, boy.
Go ahead.
So I have a question for Joanna. I'm going to give poor Skeeter a break from me because I drive that woman crazy. I know it. And
it's
I love
a short drive.
But I love you.
But it is a short... No, I'm a shorter drive. I wanted to know if my nan has been trying to send me a message in an indirect way lately, or a warning, or prepare me for something, or I don't know, just the last... I don't know.
The only thing I keep seeing over and over and over is a red rose in your face. What does that mean?
No idea.
Okay, let me just ask. This is Shar, right?
No,
Pardon
this
me?
is Amanda.
Oh, it's Amanda. Sorry.
It's okay.
You sound just like Shar. My apologies, love.
That's okay.
Okay, just give me 1 second. be honest with you, I'm not getting anything very clear. What I am getting from my guide is that somebody is trying to communicate with you, but the message is landing behind you, which tells me you're not recognizing it. But I'm actually not very clear on that, interestingly enough.
Could that message come through you?
I'm trying to see what this is about. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I'm asking if is there something that Amanda should know? And the very first thing I see is somebody's pointing at a wedding ring. It's a sign of commitment. So something to do with commitment, wedding, or relationship. Does that mean anything to you?
I'm married. I've been married for a while.
Yeah, he's pointing at a wedding band. What are you showing me, Rob? Do you need to have a conversation with your partner?
I already did.
You did. Okay. And then he's showing me 2. You either need to have 2 conversations or you need to have another conversation. And this is not just, it's actually not, it doesn't feel like a fun conversation. And I feel it in my gut right now. Does that make sense to you?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
It's not a fun conversation. I feel it in my gut. Does that make sense to you? That it's not a fun conversation?
Yeah.
Okay, he's also showing me, okay, now as you're talking, okay, he's also showing me, he's pointing to a wedding band. So there's definitely some conversations needing to take place with, or had take place with your partner. I'm also seeing the number 5, which is whoever is yawning, which is a sign of change. Now, that doesn't mean it's a negative change, but he says there needs to be some changes made. Do you understand what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever these changes are, I get a sense they're not comfortable, and they're fundamental because they're showing me like ground. So they're fundamental changes, and they need to take place. But as far as you, Nana, I keep seeing birds around you. Do you connect her with birds, or do you connect birds to you and her?
I didn't know her very well at all. She's actually my biological nan. I was adopted as a baby, and I met her briefly when I was 19, but I felt like she's always had a connection to me somehow.
Okay, I'm actually seeing a crow, a black crow, and I don't see that, actually, it's rarely that I see crows. I have no negative connotation to crows. They're very intelligent birds. Do you see crows around you a lot?
We had been we get a lot of crows in the Lower Mainland, as you know. We had quite a few crows before, but they took down our trees, so now we hardly see them.
Okay, so for whatever reason, they're showing me birds, but particularly crow. But again, he's showing me that whoever is communicating with you, I'm not picking her up, to be honest with you. I'm not getting that from her. I'm getting it from my guide. The messages are landing behind you, which tells me you're not recognizing them. And then again, I see the rose again. So unless there was a connection with roses to her, you have a tattoo of a rose. I don't know what it is with a rose. One rose.
I went because I missed the full moon. I didn't want to put my crystals out the other night. The only red rose that's happened in the last few days is we bought a red rose so that I could give my crystals a rose bath.
Oh, you bought one rose?
One rose, yeah.
One rose. Okay. Again, I'm not getting it from her. I'm getting it from my guide. So somebody's telling me something that they know about you, and it ain't me.
What?
I said somebody's giving me information about you that I don't know, and it ain't me. In other words, somebody's watching you and giving me this stuff about you that has happened, and it's not me because I'm not watching you. So there's somebody around you, but I'm not getting this from her. I'm getting this from my guide.
Who's around me, though? I don't understand.
Skeeter, does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you have a different message?
Because it's not her grandma. It's not Nana that's trying to get her attention. It's someone else completely different.
Is there like a warning coming? Because I almost feel like there's a warning, like I'm preparing myself for something that's not going to be very grand.
It's a grandfather, and he's telling you to slow down. Take a breath.
Hold on. We're talking about Amanda.
Down. Yes, I know,
doesn't slow
and
down.
I know.
We actually have slowed down for the last week or so, which is very unusual for me.
It is.
Very funny, guys. Very funny.
And it's part of the reason why you're missing the messages is because your mind is just clicking so fast to the next thing that you're not stopping to listen. And the thing that's coming through is it's going to be massive changes in your home and home life.
Okay.
And it's little things. It's in fact, have you been tripping a lot lately over your own feet?
No, but I've been trying yoga and falling over. Like a boss, too. I swear to God, that balancing stuff, I tell you, man, ain't as easy as it looks. I have no moves.
Okay.
But that's why I do my yoga.
I'm not
in the
even
water.
joking. I almost fell over again this morning.
I do mine on the floor. There is no chance of falling.
I do mine in the pool. I go to pool yoga. If I fall, I drown.
Great.
Okay, Amanda, we've got
so much fun.
We've got 3 behind you, and we're burning daylight. And if we don't get to Thomas soon, I'm pretty sure he's gonna die. So he's he's covered in spion. Thanks, Amanda.
Love you, Amanda.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Amanda.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay, Char, you're first, then Thomas, and then the other Char, Charlene. So Char in the U.S. of A. and a 207 area code. Oh, I'm sorry, as you were, a 402?
Yeah.
Oh, you were the one who was
Hi.
coughing. Okay, we got to get to you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Joanna.
How are you?
How are you? Oh, good. I'm glad to get through. I was hoping to speak to you. I haven't talked to you in so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just hoping that you could tell me anything that you're picking up.
Okay, let me just tune in. The only thing that I'm getting is that you really, really, really need to stay grounded. You're everywhere except in your body.
Because I just kind of was thinking that I have been more grounded lately.
It's a great start, but because you are prone to be all over the place most of the time, they're urging you to make a massive change in that regard. Like I literally feel like I'm in pieces all over the room, but I'm not in the center.
Well, that's probably that's what my room looks like. Pieces everywhere.
Yeah, but I mean your energy. And then what I'm gonna say is what Skeeter said to Amanda. You need to slow down in your mind, in your thoughts. You need to slow down. You need to get rooted, because I feel like you're floating. I feel like you're floating, not rooted. Like you're not rooted.
Right.
Also, they're showing me eyes and headache. Is your eyesight changing? Have you noticed a change lately?
A little bit, and I have had some headaches.
Okay, so you need to get that checked out if it bothers you, because headache will often come from, if you're straining, that will also affect your headache or head, having headaches. But because they're showing me you're squinting, so that's that takes extra pressure. But
I don't squint, so that I don't understand. But maybe it's something that's coming.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is we don't know when we're squinting. It's not conscious.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a conscious thing.
Yeah. Sure. Skeeter, do you have anything to add?
I got one card that came up, and it's about self-love and finding balance. You really need to take time to stop worrying about you and actually take care of you. Does that make sense?
Been working on that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
As you shift from worrying about you, you're going to realize a lot of that stress, a lot of the anxiety, a lot of the panic attacks will start backing off.
Mm-hmm. See, I don't get panic attacks. I don't get any of that. So,
okay.
I don't know. I don't have panic attacks or anything like that. So,
I'll leave it there for you to put under your hat and think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's just hope I don't get them.
Yeah. Okay, Shark. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Or have a good week, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Thomas, you're up.
Yes, hi, good morning.
Good morning.
You have reached the voicemail box of 4...
Oh, for goodness sakes. Go ahead, Thomas.
Oh, I love it. Anything at all you have for me, anything.
Skeeter, do you want to start, or do you want me to, or?
I'll let you start. I have to refresh the cards. They want to fluff.
Okay. And it's Thomas. You go by Thomas? Not that it makes a difference.
Yes, that's fine.
There's a lady that stepped forward. I feel her energy to be motherly. This could be a mother or a grandmother. It could also go as far as great-grandmother, but I don't get that very often, to be honest with you. Is your mother in spirit?
Well, actually, I haven't spoken to my mother in quite so many months. She doesn't really know who I am all the time. She has very bad dementia, and she's in a nursing home.
Okay, but she's alive? Then it's not her.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I do believe she's slipping into planes at the time, the last I heard from her.
No, the person that I'm connecting with is someone who has been on the other side for quite some time. Sorry, and she's also connecting me to by marriage. Okay, so she's connected to your dad. Is your dad's mom passed?
Yes.
Did you know her?
Yes, I did briefly.
You did know her. Okay. She's showing me a crib when you were very young, and she's looking at you. So that's telling me that she knew you when you were young, and I think you said briefly you've met her. She's also showing me the number 7 or July. Do you connect the number 7 or July with you or with her?
Neither, to be honest with you.
Neither. Okay, so just keep kind of leave it on the back burner. The other thing is. When you saw her last time, were you 7 years old or 17 or 27, something with the number 7?
More like 7, yes.
7? Okay, thank you. Also, she is, hang on one second, she's trying to show me something. There's a couple of things she's trying to show me. She's showing me a whole bunch of different animals. First she showed me a bunny, then she showed me a puppy, then she showed me a chicken. Did your grandma have a farm?
She had lots of pets, yes.
She had lots of pets, okay. She's also talking about somebody's birthday. And I hear the word January. Was there somebody's birthday in January?
Mine.
Yes, happy birthday. Okay. The other thing she's I want to ask her why she's coming forward, because they always have to give me a message.
Yes.
She is showing me sign for money, and she says money will come. She's also showing me that you have had a headache, or she's talking about you having a lot of worries about financials. Okay. And she's talking about in the next few months, you will regain your stability. And I feel it has to do with work, finances, or both of those combined. Does that make any sense to you?
Yes, it does. I was very worried about finances, but I've let it go to the universe lately.
Oh, geez. Okay. So I'm also. Oh, I just got chills. I'm also seeing the month of May, and I want to see why she's showing me this. What is this about May, please? Is there something that you have to deal with the bank? There's a bank coming up. There is, okay? And I feel like whatever it is with the bank, she's showing me a bit of a hurdle to overcome. I don't see it as a mountain. It's shown to me as a little hill. And I do feel that whatever that is, you will find a way around it. Does that make any sense to you?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Okay, I'm also hearing the word mortgage. Do you have mortgage? Are you applying for mortgage, or is this to do with mortgage?
I was applying for mortgage, but I stopped the process.
Okay. I hear the words try again. I don't know if she's talking about now or later. And she's saying to you, this will pass. She's also talking about marriage. Are you married?
I was married, but I'm unmarried now.
You're unmarried now. Okay. That's the word split. Okay. I just want to see what she's saying here. She keeps showing me these animals, and now she's focusing on a dog. Have you thought of wanting a dog?
I have two dogs now.
You have 2 dogs already. Okay. Are any of them puppies? Because she's showing me a small addition to a family and showing me a dog. Have you thought of getting another one, or it just could be that a dog is going to find its way to you?
That's more like it. They always do.
Okay. Hence the farm of animals. She's also saying that you are very kind, but a lot of times people don't take you for granted, and they don't take you seriously. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And she says, I'm sorry. This is the last year has been a tough year for you, but I feel it has been a tough year for many, many people. You have had to overcome some major hurdles. And again, she's talking about finances, but she's saying as the year progresses, and I'm going again, May, June is June going forward. She's also showing me like a carpet rolled in front of you, almost as to say, now it's going to get comfortable. So something is going to happen in the next few months where the proverbial headache will go away and you'll be able to sit and actually relax. Also, she's showing me glasses with you on and off. Do you wear glasses or do you need glasses?
I do. I wear glasses and I need new glasses, and they're always on and off.
Okay, perfect. She's also showing me the letter R. Is there a name in her? Is there a letter R in her name, first or last, or is there a letter R in your last name?
Yes.
Yes, there is. Okay, thank you. And again, she's referring to the month of June, so that's the second time, which tells me that there is something significant there. And again, she says the word birthday. Is somebody's birthday middle of the year?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, there is. Okay. Nope, she's going to June. There's something around June. Somebody's birthday around that time, month or 2 before or after. June, July, August, no. I want to go closer to June. Is there anything around your father and connected to June?
Yes, June, July. Yes.
Okay, that's what she's talking about. Okay, thank you. She also says, as far as your father, it'll pass. I don't know what she's talking about.
A fantasy father?
No. She said, as far as your father goes, it will pass. But I don't know what that means.
Okay. Animosity, I think.
That makes sense? Okay.
Yeah.
Can I leave that with you? Is that helpful? Can I leave that message with you?
Yes, please do. Thank you so much.
And then Skeeter may have something for you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Thomas. How are you?
Hi, very well. Thank you.
One of the things that came to me is you're a very meek, mild, and sweet-loving guy. Unfortunately, nice guys end last. One of the things that I'm being told to encourage you to do is to step up and be that tougher man that you can be, that tougher, stronger exterior You tend to wear it as a mask, but it's not who you are comfortably. Does that make sense?
Yes, I wear many masks, and I know I can be stronger and tougher because I have it in me.
That's the person you need to start bringing forward more often. When you go forward, there's 3 things coming your way. And all of them are going to be challenges that you're not going to want to do, but you have to do.
Will the outcome be to my benefit?
They're all for your benefit. One involves money, one involves work, and one involves a comfort of some sort, home.
Oh, very good.
So those 3 things are coming, but you need to stand your ground and show that stronger side.
Okay, there is an issue with my house. It's not in my name, it's in my mom's name, and she's not of her right mind, and power of attorney won't sign it over to me.
Your mom's already between places. She
Go ahead.
Documentation with the power of attorney to turn the house over to you.
Okay. She will turn it over?
They're supposed to.
Yeah, if I may, there if the doctor says she's got to a point where she can't make a decision, the doctor will give you a letter, and it goes to your power of attorney. It is produced when you apply for power of attorney, and it's the doctor saying that your mother is not of sound mind to decide who gets power of attorney or not.
She's not of sound mind, and she has a power of attorney, but the power of attorney holds the deed for my house and will not relinquish it to me.
Oh, so there's somebody who holds that right now?
Yeah,
correct.
There's someone else who holds power of attorney.
Yeah,
and that power of attorney does have directions to hand that house over to you. You have to find that paperwork.
Yeah, but that's a hard thing to do because we're talking about a family member that does not agree with me on my existence.
Well, you're the black sheep.
Yes, I am.
Here's
be proud of it.
Here's the policeman in me telling you, when a power of attorney is granted, there's a copy on file, and it's registered. You can have access to the original document, which would be on file. You just have to find what notary or what lawyer signed the document, and they'll have a copy of it.
Well, what he wants to do is find the letter from his mom saying that the house is supposed to go to him.
Okay, so it's an individual letter, not part of the living will.
It's
or
a part of the will, and and there's an individual letter.
Okay.
Okay, that's very good to know. I did not know that.
But the letter is what you want to find.
Yes, it is.
Because the letter actually has a lot more information in it that you want.
Well, the power of attorney moved her into another state and took the whole house with her. Everything. It even wasn't my mother's. They took it all.
Yeah, no, it's a grudge match between you and them.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And, I would honestly approach a lawyer or someone.
I did.
On your behalf.
Yes, I did. They wanted too much money to hold down to retain them. Mm-hmm. I could not afford it.
There's actually, if you go through family services, which is what this situation is, you can normally find a lawyer who will help on a much lower retainer.
Really?
Really.
I let it go because it was out of my control. I let it go in June, and
the house
it's still on my mind. So I know my work is cut out for me.
What it is that they're counting on you to back down. They're counting on you to roll over like you always do and just let them have their way, and you'll figure it out when they sell the house.
No, they've never seen the bulldog off the leash with me.
No. But that's because that's always been your way of keeping peace in the family for your mom's sake.
Like I said, I wear many masks.
Yeah. So take off this mask and step up and take care of yourself.
I have been.
Okie dokie?
I have been, and I am. Thank you.
You're welcome, love.
Excellent, Thomas.
You take good care of you tonight.
Thank you all so much. Bless you all.
Take care.
Thomas, have a good night.
I'll be in the room. Thank you. You too.
Take care. See you in the chat room.
Right.
Well, you guys take a deep breath. We have... all right. Not into the microphones, for goodness sake. We have Charlene. Hello, Charlene. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Who won the game?
We did not.
We didn't. Well, you can go now. That's all we wanted to know.
Right.
Charlene, do you have a question, a follow-up, or would you like a general reading?
I have a couple things to say, and then I would love a reading.
Brilliant. Off you go.
Okay, first and foremost, I just want to say that I've been waking up, as I said last time, more and more over the last couple of years, and this has been like, the last 6 months has been like, well, no, I don't know, the last year I've been like, whoa, like wake up, like I'm awake, you know. So but I want to say that there are times, like I was clearly very emotional our last talk when Skeeter was saying certain things hit me and then I get emotional, and there are certain words that people use that really overwhelm me, and when she was saying things like the stuff that I pass off as magic, or when I think I need a psychologist or whatever, that's so true. And I think when certain words hit me, I get really like, ugh, and then like, because it's so real and it's all like, my being is understanding now that it's all very legit, and so it scares me. And even certain words, like when she said alien, I mean, God, the first word that word goes through my head, and I think, you know, the scary light beings from from up above. But alien could mean fairies, it could mean guides, it could mean anything. So I've had some time to reassess, and I obviously listened to our conversation because I recorded it last time, and I actually got some of my very enlightened friends to listen with me as well, and some of the things started to make sense. Like when you were talking about how there's so much fire around me, and you were saying something along the lines of water, I realized that I have 7 really close girlfriends, and 5 of them are water signs. So
wow.
Yeah, there's that stuff like that. And then I just wanted to apologize because I didn't thank you guys enough. I didn't say, I was just so overwhelmed. And even James, like you had talked about, you know, being on that leaf in the creek, and it's like a culminate. It makes so much sense now, all of it. And it's weird. And a lot of stuff has transpired, and I'm realizing how much I can affect, like how strong I am, how I can manifest anything. It's crazy. Like, I mean, I could give you a little quick story, but like once I realized the power of it, I started playing with it a bit, and I wanted to see what I could bring. And it's amazing. Like, I feel like you could manifest anything from a button to a castle. You know what I mean? Like it's, it's insane. And it's like almost, it's overwhelming, and it's beautiful and exciting, but scary. And then when you get too black and white about it, that gets weird too. And anyway, thank you is all I'm trying to say.
It's frightening, isn't it, when you know that you can manifest something so quickly, because it goes both one way and the other, right?
Exactly. And I'm learning that it's a lot about focus. Mm-hmm. And really retraining my brain. And I think it's amazing how society, actually, I'll tell you this. The last few days I've been playing this game with my friends, and I'll say, hey guys, let's play a game. And they're like, okay, what are we playing? And I'm like, hold on. And I'm like, it's called the What I Love game. And they're like, okay, well, how do you play? And I'm like, what we're going to do is we're going to set a timer for 5 minutes. There's 3 of us in the room, and simultaneously, one after the other, we're going to say what we love. And that's it. That's all that it is. And if you get on a rampage about it, keep going. So, like, I would say, I love hockey, and one of them would say, I love my pets, and the other one would say, I love this. And we would do that for 5 minutes straight. And by the end of it, we're beaming. And I'm like, that's how we're going to manifest shit. Like, oh, sorry about the swearing, but like, that's how we're going to do it, right? So this is the new trip I'm on, and it's kind of cool. And I realize that stuff that I don't really have a lot of resistance to, it shows up in 2.5 seconds. You know, it's crazy.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 2075338
is now no longer with us. Go ahead. Sorry, Charlene.
No, it's all good. That's basically it. I just wanted to say all those things. And then I do have a couple questions. And then, James, I apologize. I read that the other day, and I think it has a lot to do with, like, you know how we talked about how I'm kind of coming out of that tunnel of anxiety and panic and stuff. And actually, I think it was Skeeter or somebody, one of you, said something to the last shower about panic and anxiety, and she was like, no, that's not me. And I wondered if it was you were picking up me.
Yeah, one of the other sharks.
No, it was about her. It was about her.
Yeah,
it was definitely about her.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was thinking, oh my gosh, they're getting the wrong char. Like,
no. But
so some crazy stuff happened in the last little bit, and I don't know. Like, it makes me wonder, like, did I do that? And of course I did, and I'm the creator of everything, and wow. And anyway.
Well, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, right?
Sorry. Yeah, that's the entire show tonight. And no, I'm kidding. I would like to know what comes through. That would be kind of cool.
Hold on.
Shar, are you there?
Yo, I'm here.
Yeah. And
Everyone know who
okay.
you are on the phone. Who
okay.
is that guy?
I just had to hang up on somebody because their phone. We answered the phone and they kept talking, and we're running out of time anyway, and we can't have that in the background. What I want you to do, Joanna, is this is Charlene. I was wondering if anything is coming through. Personally, I'd like to know if her guide is like yours or has been on Earth before.
You mean you want me to say that after she says, "Oh my God, aliens could actually be fairies," because that says that she's afraid of aliens?
No, she'll be fine. She's way stronger than she even thinks she is.
Yes, which is
just realizing that now is all I'm saying. Like, it's
a good thing you are realizing it. Because most people don't. When you were talking, I was kind of shuffling my cards, and two popped out. The first one is spiritual strength, beautiful card. The second one is mental conflict. So let me just tell you what that means. The second one basically tells me this mental conflict that's how you naturally have been up until a certain point, and probably very recently. So you predominantly live in your head. You have been typically black and white, or at least that's where you have felt safe for most of your life. That's where the anxiety comes from. Blah, 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 blah. But the card that covers this is the spiritual strength. So what is being said here, which is pretty much what you've said, is that it's like what I see you coming out of a tunnel, and I actually hear the words birth. It's like you're coming through a birthing process. And that birthing process is you're being birthed into another phase, if you will, of your life, which comes with all these realizations that you haven't thought were possible. But some of these make you a little bit uncomfortable because you are, for the very first time, realizing how much power is behind it and that you are the one attached to this power. Yeah. So this is and I'm seeing the number 7 with this, and so this is very much a time of you mastering an aspect of yourself where you begin to understand for the very first time in your life, and I don't know how you are, makes no difference, just how incredible of a human being you truly are. Not just the being of light that we all are, but the human being. And as I say this, I'm being shown a hand with a wedding band, and I feel so much sadness, and I don't know why. Does that make any sense to you?
Well, it's weird because I'd like to have a hand with a wedding band on it, but I don't.
So that's the status, because he's showing me, it's right in front of me, and I'm looking at the wedding band, yet I feel this sadness in my heart, and I'm going, why am I feeling all this sadness? So I want to get emotional, tears want to cry, but then he's like, okay, pull it back, Joanna, pull it back. And then I hear the words, this will come true. You just have to trust. Having said that, what's being said to me, and I know I'm going to get to the point about the guide, what's being said is that you, obviously I don't know anything about you, and I think this is the first time you and I spoke, but you have had a pretty turbulent past, okay, when it comes to relationships. And you are now understanding what hand you played in it. Not that you deserved it, but how you have attracted it, or how you have contributed to the relationships that you have had that have not worked out to, the way you wanted to. So it's almost like you're closing one chapter of your book and you're about to open another one. And he says it's very scary for you. And I'm saying, why is it scary for her? And he says, because there's all these things that are opening up before her that she doesn't yet understand. But he says, understand this. Just as powerful as you think you are at this moment, you have no idea.
Yeah. You
have no idea.
See, and as you start to make me cry.
I'm gonna cry. That's the intensity it comes with. You have a very powerful being with you. So I'm just going to tell you that right now. There is one, two. You've got a whole slew of beings, but I'm just going to focus on the one that's very close to you. And the one that's very close to you, he's right behind you, and he's dressed like, okay, my English is now starting to fail me. Hang on one second. So this person looks like he's dressed in all metal armor, like in old, like old days. What am I trying to say?
Like a knight.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. And he has his hands on your shoulders, and I'm saying, what's with the shoulders? He says, I'm keeping her stable. I'm keeping her not focused, but stable. I'm keeping her stable. But this is not something that is bad. This is actually something that's very powerful. And his armor is telling me that even though you may feel you may not have all the strength, he has that strength for you, and he is there for you, supplying that strength at this particular time.
Does he? I know this might be random, but I mean, this seems to be a random.
There's no such thing with me. Trust me, there's no such thing as random things with me.
Okay. Does he have a name?
He shook his head from side to side, and he's not giving me a name. But again, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were listening, I don't get names with guides unless they're archangels. My understanding is that they go by energy, and if we want to assign them by a name, perfect. But I actually don't get names with guides. It's really very rare.
Okay. I just want to tell you a funny story. So after we had this conversation last week, not you and I, but the other medium that was on.
Yeah.
And she had told me that there was two, a guy and a girl, a man and a woman, and the man had been with me my whole life. And so after that, I decided James had suggested that I do a meditation and, maybe get to know them or whatever. So I tried, and it's funny because I went on, meet your guide kind of meditation, and I asked for a name, and the name Brendan came to me, and I thought that was interesting. So then I looked up the name Brendan, and it came from the time period that you're talking about, and it came from like old, like Irish, like over in Europe, like that kind of, and then they migrated to like the East Coast, which is really
Celtic.
fun. Yeah, because I'm from the East Coast originally, so I just like New Brunswick, right? So I just thought it was kind of funny that you said that he's wearing the armor, and
so huge confirmation for you.
Yeah, and again, last week, that whole thing that Skeeter said about, I have a hard time because my brain wants to go, this is ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's
my brain wants to go, my brain wants to go, this is crazy, this is ridiculous. No, you know what I mean? But I mean, we're on a tiny rock hurling through space. Like, what is ridiculous and what isn't? I don't know anymore. And this is the gray that we're talking about. And so be it. All right, Brendan, you're with me. Sweet. Let's do this. Like, you know what I mean? I have another question for you, if that's all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Some of the loved ones in my life that have passed on, are they ever with me, or do they ever?
Skeeter, do you want to take that one, or?
Someone just joked and said you're a tag team effort, honey.
I've got the whole family showing up with Charlotte.
Right. So there's a lot of family coming in and out, and they're going, don't worry, we understand, we raised you this way, it's okay. But just know that we are here, we are coming in and out as you need us.
All right.
That's cool.
Charlene, do you come from a strict religious background?
My one set of my grandparents.
The reason why I ask, because they'll show me a cross, and that's a sign of religion.
Yeah.
And the way they showed it to me when Skeeter was talking about that's how we raised you, that was my sign that there was a heavy component of religion there. Also, do you have a dog that has passed?
Do I have a dog?
That has passed.
He wasn't necessarily my dog. He was an ex-boyfriend's dog of mine. But
were you close to it? Were you attached, connected? Because there's a dog that's showing up here. And you're supposed to understand what that means, because I don't.
Yes and no. I love animals, but I detach myself from them because I don't. Let's put it this way: I already have enough people in my life that I'm scared to lose, let alone animals, and that I cannot.
Yeah, it's a vulnerability thing.
Yeah. Did you have a dog as a child?
Yeah,
that's
good one.
And that's who this is. It's coming forward.
No dogs as a child.
No neighbor's dog that you liked, connected with.
No, I was actually.
Oh my goodness!
I was actually afraid of dogs until that one that I spoke to you about.
Because Skeeter, I got the same thing. So I'm glad you said that. I'm thinking that it's a dog that, not yours necessarily, but either a family member had, neighbor had, a dog that befriended something, because that showed up.
No, okay. That's really odd because I was afraid of dogs when I was a kid.
Did a dog bite you?
He chased me, and then I slipped on some concrete and split my nose.
Could that be the dog, Skeeter?
No, but that dog came forward and said he's sorry.
Is he sorry on behalf of the other dogs?
Yes, he is.
Well, he did ruin my face, so we're good.
Good point.
Yeah, that's my point. Okay, so I guess now all I really want to ask is, I don't know, like James, you had said something the other day, and I really like them.
Charlene?
Yeah?
I'm going to put you on hold just for a second, and I want to say thank you to Skeeter Welhouse at BlueMoonWeaver.com and Joanna the Medium. JoannaTheMedium.com. Go to our website. Check out what she's got on YouTube. And follow her at least once a month here on Spaced Out Weekend. And for all of you, please just keep an open mind.
It's our last goodbye. Young hearts will stop. Torn souls set free.
That's it. Let's roll. And hey! Let's be careful out there.
Far over the snow, what are those voices? They sing and they go. What are those voices? Look up for the mountain. Somebody better hide on through the hill, like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. get you dead or alive. And forget yourself. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after now. Run through the hail like a flash of angry bulls on the trail. Dead or alive, we are out to get you dead or alive. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after. No!
I see dead people.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Dave's not here!
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.